most of the addict patients, behavioral addiction patients that they see now, display symptoms of pornography addiction. And they don't really know, even in Europe, how to handle this, because as we'll see in the presentation, there is no official diagnosis in the DSM-5 for pornography addiction as a behavioral disorder or a behavioral addiction. It is not yet classified as an official diagnosis. So when you don't have an official diagnosis, but you start seeing patients with such clinical symptoms and such a clinical presentation, it becomes very difficult because you don't know how to handle them. There is no set line of treatment or set line of case handling. In such a case, you don't really know what are the parameters that you have to work with. So we had a lot of discussions about this during our final year in the masters. We also did a lot of research on these topics, spoke with a couple of patients who were struggling with addiction behaviors. Although most of the addiction behaviors that we saw were pathological, in the sense that they also had other coexisting comorbidities. For example, we had personality disorders, we had alcohol addiction, and also pornography addiction alongside. So we saw a lot of such cases where pornography addiction did exist alongside other pathologies or other diagnoses. But there is this new kind of shift which I saw during my practical years here, was that there was a new type of clientele which was coming into the offices of my professors where I was interning. There was people who were normal people, like they didn't have any other pathological symptoms. They did not exhibit any other clinical diagnosis or typical clinical diagnosis like personality disorders. They did not have. They were people in long-term stable relationships with jobs, with children. And they were struggling with this addiction, and they did not know why or how they developed this addiction. And that's when this dialogue started in Hungary, where I live, where how do we help these patients? Because up until now, we were seeing pornography addiction being used alongside drugs or alcohol or having some other. But there was this whole type of new clientele that wasn't displaying any typical symptoms. They were regular people with regular jobs, regular lives, and they were struggling with this addiction. So that's why I thought that it was important to deal with this, and we'll get into this now. So first, I just want to get into the definition and history of pornographic content. So what exactly is pornographic content? There is evidence that since the time of cave dwellers, so since the time we were actually cave people, there is evidence to show that we have always had pornographic content. And if you see the Renaissance era paintings in any of the museums in Europe, you will see that these were also a version of pornography. There is a lot of nudity, there's a lot of adult and sexual content on these paintings. And it is believed that kings and rulers at that time ordered these paintings to be made because they displayed them in their palaces or in their private quarters in the palaces, and they were actually used as pornographic content at that time. Now, of course, they are all very, very priceless works of art, but at that particular time, they were actually commissioned as a way of pornography. But visual pornography really just entered our life with the onset of television and the onset of photographic material. So when we started seeing magazines, we started having actual visual imagery. That's when actually pornography really became mainstream. It became a part of our daily life. And if any of you are the kids from 80s, 90s, like I am, I remember that there were these late night cable channels, or there were these places where you could go and rent video cassettes or CDs or DVDs. And the access to pornography was basically very, very regulated in that time, and it was very difficult to access pornography. I remember as kids, we were told not to go into certain video parlors late at night because they were mainly functioning as shops where you could buy or rent CDs or DVDs with adult content. And at that time, it was mostly Pamela Anderson from Baywatch and things like this. So pornography was a very restricted area up until the 80s or 90s, at least for most of us who grew up in India. But the scenario really changed with the introduction of the internet. So when the internet was born, pornography became easily accessible and it became easily affordable, and people could go onto websites, they could go onto chat forums, they could go onto downloadable content, and they could have pornography at the tips of their fingers, but it was still not that easily accessible. When it became really difficult and it really became a problem for society was in 2006 with the introduction of high-speed internet. So the kind of internet we see today with the Wi-Fi and with high speeds, meaning that you can download an entire 1 hour movie or 1.5 hour movie within minutes. That technology really took off in 2006, and that's when the pornography structure really changed. The consumption of pornography skyrocketed, and it became accessible to everyone with a mobile device with a decent internet speed. And now you're sitting in an era where you don't even need to download clips anymore. You can just go and stream it from any website or any any adult content forum or anywhere. So basically now it's become one of the easiest type of content to access online.